What's going on, YouTube? So, another weekend in the garage, more rust replacement. Almost done. It's like I almost tasted rust replacement. So close to being done. So, we're going to switch things up a little bit. I'm done futzing with the fender. I still got a little bit of work to do. I'll show you a little bit later. But told you I was going to be replacing these cowl panels. And, you know, I got them in last week. Nice stamped piece here, you know, looks really good. And it almost fits right out of the box. You can see down here, these are from Classic Industries. I actually didn't look at the sticker to see who made it. I don't know if it's Goodmark or AMD, but pretty decent panel. Just going to require a little bit of tweaking. You can see up here it doesn't meet all the way, but that might be just because the factory piece is still in the way. So, it looks really good. I'm pretty impressed with it. Not bad for $40-something for each of these. And I got one for the other side as well, because the other one is worse than this one. Since this fender was off, I decided to start on this one. And then I'll pull that fender off and do that side. So that's what we're going to do today. But I got the light on here in the garage now so you guys can see better. You see this here, it's all rusted down up in here. It's rusted also down by the weep hole. So I'm going to try and drill out some of these spot welds, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to take my little panel splicer here and just rip it to shreds. So we're going to get to that. I'm going to hit the time warp and well, that sucked. So let me explain what I was doing here and so you kind of understand the difficulties. So let's see down here, there's all that rusted out section. It's all tore up. Now I got to repair this before I can put this panel in. It's always one step forward, two steps back. So my crappy spot weld cutters, they're garbage. I need to get a new set, but they were just jumping around, so I was getting pissed with it. So I took my body blade and I was busting the seams. Problem is because this is curved in a couple different directions and there's tight spaces, I can't get the spot weld cutter in for certain locations because it just won't reach, right? The drill just can't get in there. So I had to cut it open to kind of get different angles and split it all apart. So I'm going to go back over this with my angle grinder with a sanding disc, get off this excess metal that didn't come, clean up these spot welds, and then I'm going to have to decide how I'm going to repair this before I continue. So let me ponder that for a bit. Get you up to speed here. So before I do anything else, I'm test fitting the panel, because even though this looks like a really quality piece, none of them are perfect. So you can see down here it's not matching up, so I gotta pull this piece out a little bit, which is fine because you know, there's nothing on this side for it to rest on. But this is a problem I have to correct. So once I get this back in place, excuse me while I'm trying to do this with one hand holding the camera. And of course it's fighting me when I'm doing this. There we go. Alright, so you can see kind of up here. Man, really needs better lights in the garage. You can see here, there's a big gap, right? So it only starts where this mark here is that I put it. So what I need to do is kind of slice this here, bend the fold flat, and then move over a little bit and bend it back. Now, when I do that, I'm gonna have a larger gap up here. But again, this is a unseen panel. The fender covers it, so you're never gonna know it's there. And all this needs to be seam sealed. So, man, the lights are horrible in this garage. Never used to be that way. This garage used to light up like daylight back in the day when I first put these lights in. But that's what we're dealing with. All right, hang on a second while I pull this panel off. It's going to be a bit of a pain. There we go. All right. So before I do all that, I need to fix all of that. So after cleaning it all up, I wire wheeled everything. I just chiseled out some of the dried up seam sealer that was in here. You can see how the interior cowl is structured. This is one piece, and then this is another piece. And you can see my firewall modifications here. So I'm gonna seam seal all this while I'm in here, and then rust proof it. So I'll put a converter on here to convert some of the surface rust, and then I'll top coat it so that it's fully protected. Because what happens is, you know, from the cowl grill that's up there for the wipers, all that rain comes down in here, follows this down into here. There's this weep hole, and then it drains out from underneath. And that's why all this is rotted, is because, you know, dirt, debris gets in here, clogs up this hole, and then water starts seeping in other locations that it's not supposed to, or two panels met and they spot welded it, or they didn't pre-treat it properly. And that's why the bottom of my fenders also were rotted, right? Because it rusts from the backside out through. So we're going to correct all this so that it doesn't have any future problems. But back to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right at this seam, at this bend, and then I'm going to make a small patch, and I'm going to do a bend on it, and then just spot weld it on the inside here, and then connect it, because it doesn't give this a whole lot of strength down here with these two pieces spliced like this. So I'm going to try and close this up, get it to attach here, so it's, you know, got this curvature that kind of gives it strength as well, because there's nothing down here that holds it in place, right? Except for where it's spot welded to the chassis of the car, or body of the car, not chassis. But yeah, I'm gonna slice this off. I'm gonna have to use my shrinker stretcher, and yeah, that's gonna be a pain. So they don't make this as one piece, right? I can't just buy this. If I did, I'd have to buy all of this section up here, because they do make replacement firewalls for this car, but obviously I've modified this and smoothed it out and done a lot of work here. I'm not gonna futz with it. I'm just gonna make this patch. You know, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I told him, yeah, I bought these panels, right? And he's like, why'd you buy panels? You got all those metal working tools. Why, you know, you can make this. And yeah, I could make this. It's not too complex of a shape. Gotta get it in some light here. You know, it's got some bends on it, which I've got a brake to do. It's got a bead in the middle of it to give it some strength. I've got a bead roller. I've got an English wheel to give it this complex shape. Yeah, I could have made this. Here's why I didn't, and that's how I kind of explain it to him. The price of steel right now is kind of expensive. For me to make this and the other side panel, I would have had to buy a 4x8 sheet of, I think this is 20 or 22 gauge. I'm thinking it's 20. I haven't pulled out the mic to check it, but I think it's 20 or 22. Sorry, squirrel moment. Yeah, it doesn't say who manufactured it. I don't see it. But it looks like a good mark sticker, so I think it's good mark. Which, they make some decent stuff. Most of the panels on this car are from good mark. But anyways, that Cowl panel was $48 plus taxes and shipping and all that stuff, so I think it was $115 for both sides delivered to my door. For me to buy a 4x8 sheet, I looked it up, it's like 40 something dollars, right? And then I would have had to cut it up, and then I would have spent probably 3 or 4 hours of my time to try and shape that, right? Maybe more, right? Because like I said, it's got a lot of bends and breaks and stuff in the metal. And then on top of it, I still got to do all of this work, right? I still would have had to done this. I still would have had to, rust-proof this and clean it all up. So I wasn't able to work last week because it was Easter. $115 shipped to my door. It comes down to how much is my time worth, right? If it's stuff like this where I cannot make a panel for it, or I can't buy a panel for it, yes, no matter what, I've got to make it, right? And I've got the tools and somewhat of the skills to do it myself. But if I've got the panel, and the panel's cheaper to ship than it is, or cheaper to buy and ship than it is to actually make it myself, go to the metal supermarket store, buy the metal, get it home, do all the work to it to do this, I'm looking a full day just making probably a Cowl panel and getting it welded in. Whereas, hey, I shipped it, it was, here middle of this week where I didn't have to worry about it taking, a week or so for it to get here. So kind of gets you to the point of, what's your time worth? Is there a replacement panel? Is it cost effective? If it isn't, then okay, make your own, right? This whole firewall section, all of this stuff you can buy. It's a couple $100, and then it's, you have to take the whole front of the car apart. You got to brace things because this is a unibody car. I chose to do a modification. I chose to make my own, and yeah, it took me about 3 months to do all this, but that's worthwhile. Something like this is not, right? I should have bought a skin for this door. I should have, because of all the patches that I've got in this door, I would have been time ahead, money ahead, if to just buy the panel and cut it off and put it on. To cut this panel off is super easy. You just take a angle grinder with a flap disc and you just sand this down until it cuts the seam, and then pops right off. I did it on that passenger door over there. I think it took me 15 minutes to get it fitted, and of course I had to repair some of the frame. It took me a couple more days. But if I had to try and create that door panel, I don't think I would have been able to do it with my tools, right? And then I would have been fighting, getting the curvatures right and getting it smooth, and no highs and lows and all that other good stuff. And I think the door was $170, right? Makes perfect sense. Buy the panel, right, when it makes sense. Sometimes you've got to make your own, right? And I kind of explained it to my buddy, and he finally understood it at that point. He's like, your time, doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, well, you know what? It takes me a month and a half to fix the goddamn fender. When I could have been working on getting this car ready for primer instead of it rusting more than it is just sitting here, and especially in this spring humidity. So, sorry, little squirrel moment. I wanted to explain that to you guys. So I'm gonna make this and I'm gonna try and get this done today. I don't know if I will. I've already spent 2 hours trying to do all this crap and making a mess on my floor. So let me see how far I can get along with this. I know that the other side's gonna be just as bad. It's actually going to probably be worse, but we'll see how it goes. But I at least want to get this done today. So let's start with that. Whew. All right, I'm done for the day. Did something in my back. I'm like not able to straighten up at the moment. Sucks getting old. Okay, so it's all done. Rust proofed, seam sealed, welded in, all that good stuff. I didn't seam seal it very pretty. I don't care because it's gonna get scuffed painted and again hidden underneath the fender, but I seam sealed around this new cowl piece that I put in. I also grabbed the very underneath edge here as well because I never did that when I welded the firewall in, and I didn't weld that seam. I just butted it up in there. So trying to keep any moisture out of there as much as possible. So this piece is done. Got the rust all out of there as well. There's my little pile of shit over there. Next time, and I'll just probably do a great big time lapse of doing that side. That's going to be even worse because if I remember right, it's rusted from like here all the way down. So we'll see how bad the inner structure is. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think, guys. Hopefully I've got enough content in here to make a full video. I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.